Hello everyone, my name is Serena Subetti and I'm an 8th term OTD student from the University of St. Augustine for Health Sciences in Dallas, Texas. And this is module 4 out of 6. And in this module, I'll be discussing Hispanic culture and customs. In the last video, we discussed the 3 pillars, and that was communication, understanding, and culture. So today we will be discussing culture. So first, let's define culture. According to Pierre, culture is a conceptual and its collective set of beliefs, behaviors, ideas, philosophies, and practices shared by groups of people. Different groups of people have different cultures, but all social groups have a set of activities and values that they share, and that is their culture. So now let's discuss occupational therapy and culture. How does culture and occupational therapy correlate? Well, in occupational therapy, a person's culture can influence and impact many occupations and therapy-related goals. A therapist needs to consider all of the complex elements associated with culture, such as cultural awareness and sensitivity, to provide clients with the best support possible. A culturally competent occupational therapy practitioner can implement patients' cultures into assessments, ultimately creating more impactful interactions and treatments. And this goes hand in hand with physical therapy as well. And lastly, the OTPF 4th edition states that personal factors are the particular background of the person's life and living and consist of the unique features of the person that are not part of the health condition or health state. A little background about myself is I am currently in a small town located in Southwest Texas called Del Rio, and approximately 85.9% of the population here is Hispanic. Therefore, in this presentation, we're going to discuss the Hispanic customs and culture. So I spoke with some individuals living in Del Rio to gain a better understanding of the culture and customs practiced here, and I have learned that Hispanic families are very close-knit and the most important social unit. The Hispanic family unit does not only include immediate family, but extended family as well. To tie the culture to 3 themes or pillars, Hispanics come from a collectivist culture where activities are dominant and responsibility is shared and accountability is collective. Additionally, I have found that a lot of the individuals generally prefer more of a holistic and natural approach to medicine. So when it comes to getting medicine or visiting a doctor, it is likely that they have already taken medication from or recommended by a friend or a relative because they have a similar condition. And in Latino cultures, people try natural medicines frequently, but when they don't get the expected results, then that's when they go and see a doctor. And approximately 88.8% of Hispanic women reported to utilize herbal remedies, and people of the Hispanic Latino ethnicity use herbal remedies for self-care as part of their cultural values and practices, and some studies suggest that they may use more herbal remedies than other ethnic groups. Additionally, Hispanic women were more likely to report the use of prayers for general health, and that was 93.5% of Hispanic women. Now, let's get into some of the traditional holidays and festive foods that are typically celebrated in the United States. The first traditional holiday is Cinco de Mayo, which is celebrated on May 5th. Cinco de Mayo marks the anniversary of the 1862 victory by Mexican troops over invading French forces at the Battle of Puebla. The triumph over the better equipped and more numerous French troops was an enormous emotional boost for the Mexican soldiers, which was led by General Ignacio Zaragoza. The second holiday is Dia de los Muertos, also known as the Day of the Dead, and this is a Mexican holiday where families welcome back the souls of their deceased relatives for a brief reunion, which includes food, drinks, and celebration. And typically, they will usually have pan de muertos, which is sweet, fluffy loaf, and it is sprinkled with sugar and topped with a small bone-shaped decoration to represent the deceased. And the third holiday is Mexican Independence Day, which celebrates Mexico's independence from Spain on September 16th, 1810. And some of the festive foods are tamales, which is a very popular dish that is typically eaten during holidays like Christmas or when the weather is getting colder. And lastly, tacos are thought to come from Mexico, and it is a staple meal that is provided vital nutrients and energy to those who consume it, and it's a very great everyday food. Now on to the Spanish lesson, and in this lesson I will be teaching parts of the anatomy in Spanish. So the first one is espalda, which is back, cadera, which means hip, pierna, which means leg, rodilla, which is knee, tobillo, which is ankle, and pie, which is foot. And this is now part of the upper extremities. So brazo, which is arm, hombro, which is shoulder, codo, which is elbow, mano, which is hand, and muñeca, which means wrist. And now we're going to get into some action words in Spanish. The first word is doblar, which means bend, levantar, which means to rise or to lift, descansar, which means rest, apretar, which means squeeze, and enderezar, which means straighten, and caminar, which means walk. So now we're going to get into some of the directional terms in Spanish. So the first one is derecho, which means right, izquierda, which means left, arriba, which means up, abajo, which means down, and de lado a lado, which means side to side. So now let's practice. Last time we learned ¿Dónde tiene dolor? So now let's add more specific questions relating to body parts, such as ¿Tienes dolor en la rodilla? Which translates to do you have pain in your knee? And you can also ask ¿Tienes dolor en el hombro? Which means do you have pain in your shoulder? So you can also use tienes dolor and fill in the blank with whatever body part, just as we used for the knee and shoulder. And now we're going to add asking the patient to perform exercises in Spanish. So we're going to say, levanta la pierna hacia arriba y hacia abajo 10 veces, which means raise your leg up and down 10 times. And this is where you can add which leg you are referring to, and you can also adjust the number of reps that you would like your patient to do. And we are also going to add apretar la pelota 15 veces, and that is squeeze the ball 15 times. So we just learned to ask the patient to raise their leg up and down, but now we're going to get more specific. So we're going to ask the patient, levante la pierna izquierda hacia arriba, which means lift your left leg up. And then we're also going to add baja los brazos, which means bring your arms down, or levante los brazos, which means bring your arms up. We have made it to the end of Module 4. Thank you all so much for sticking around and learning about the Hispanic culture with me. If there is anything that I have missed or something that you would like to see, please let me know. But that is all for today's video. So thank you for sticking around and cuídate!